I'm going to just show you what I'm going to cover, and I'm going to go through a bit of the work that we do so that you've got an understanding of what Ofsted is doing today. So I'm going to go through some of the emerging findings from inspections regionally and nationally, so you've got an idea of what's happened from this September through to where we are today. What we've been doing with our improvement work, and I'll tell you a bit more about that as we go through. Study programmes, clearly the focus of today, and then leading into the impact of leadership and management. The kind of what does Ofsted think? To be quite frank with you, if you are offering good quality provision, we will recognise it. It's no more, as Sue was saying, about chasing success rates. You will know that we're not focusing just on success rates for outcomes. They're a part of it, but it's about the rounded outcomes for learners, where their starting points on and where they end up going and progressing to. It's quite a simple message, that one. Something else just to mention about the study programmes before I go through is remember that we don't create the strategy, we inspect it. And remember that for learners aged 16 to 19, the study programme is it. It is the only game in town. Show me where the good practice is. We will come and see it, and we will put that on our website. So together with the work that you're doing here at ACER, we're looking at it from Ofsted's point of view, because I want to showcase what you're doing in the region. So have a think about, if there's anything, you have to be a grade 2 or grade 1 provider, if there's anything in your colleges that you think, actually this is really good stuff, let me know and we'll come and see you. It's not an inspection, I hasten to add. It's just you showcasing and we publish it. And we're doing one at the moment. I don't think, Chris, we're going to hit the 30th of March, but on your work experience, which you're going to be talking about later. Okay, what's been happening in the region? So the first one's about learners not making sufficient progress, and that's right across the levels. And it links well to that second point about planning individual learning. So this is where we've seen where you may be capturing that data and information on learners' starting point through initial assessment and other mechanisms, but it's not being used really well or consistently in learning and training by teachers to ensure that the learning matches those starting points. So therefore that's hindering progress, and it can be that the work could be too difficult, and conversely the stretch and challenge is there. We've got poor development of learners' skills in English and maths coming through as a barrier. A lack of meaningful work experience, and I use work experience in its broadest sense of work-related learning, and we'll hear from West Herts as to what they're doing there. So it is from the extremes, as Sue was saying, like, oh, they're doing A-levels, they're all progressing to higher education, and we don't have to do it. You will know, any of you that provide A-levels, 100% of those learners do not progress to higher education. They need work-related skills. What is it that you're doing to provide those? And a lack of a high-quality study programme. So that's looking at the study programme in the round where we have criticised providers. What we've not seen is that step change to the holistic view of a study programme. We've seen that perhaps as a view of, oh, well, here are the courses, this is what we've done in the past, and here are the bolt-on bits. It's not seen as a holistic programme. And then finally, ineffective quality improvement arrangements. So this is where perhaps providers haven't been sufficiently self-critical in identifying what needs to do to improve, and we find it. That's what you don't want to happen. You want to be able to say, this is what we need to do, this is what we're doing, and this is the impact to date, rather than us saying, well, we found this, did you not know about it? and that the best providers know everything. This is the key reason regionally why the providers that have been inspected since September have remained requires improvement, and it's about consistency. And it's about, it may be happening in Department X, but in Faculty Y, they're getting a different experience. Or when subcontractor over there, it's different from the work-based learning provider here. So it's a really tough question, this one, for you to reflect on. If students and learners or trainees are getting a really good experience here, and they move to a different department or a different type of learning, are they going to get the same quality? And if not, why not? And what are you doing about it to address those? Because that's what we would expect to see for good quality provision, study programmes, apprenticeships, traineeships, whatever. Regional improvement activities. But one of the things I can tell you, in every provider we have inspected that required improvement, every single one improved, but just not sufficiently to get to good securely. So we looked at our own activities and what we'd done with you and the seminars and what had improved. And there's a whole range of things here. So the first one, attendance, punctuality and learners' attitudes. I don't pick up issues regionally, apart from one college, and that's our inadequate college, and it's out there published, and the new principal would recognise this and is working with us very, very closely. But going into your colleges, they are, and your providers, they are places where learners are calm, there are attitudes to learning that are productive, so that's a positive for you. Governance is improving in the region. There's quite a lot of change in governance too. Much more effective management. We've got quite a lot of senior leadership shown in the region, which is interesting. Lots of new principals coming in to the region, kind of refreshing management and so on. I know that can create uncertainty, but also it can inject new enthusiasm. Teaching and learning is improvement. We're finding better performance management and much better links between appraisal and development activities. Links with employers are improving, a lot more outward-facing work there. And I'd also include in there, in terms of the stakeholder group, I think one of the key things that you're all doing much more effectively is working together. Success rates are improving, including the quality of apprenticeships, and it was a particular focus for me last year about raising the performance of apprenticeships in providers that were good, because some of you had good success rates and outcomes for learners' classroom learning, but your apprenticeship success rates weren't so hot. So for us, good quality study programmes, what have we seen? What would we reflect back to you? When a potential student or learner contacts you, it's capturing that information and planning their study programme from that point. What is it that they need? What are their goals? Second point I've alluded to, and it's around initial assessment. What happens to that information, and how can you be absolutely sure that all teachers and tutors and assessors and instructors are using that in planning effective learning? The third point, which is key, is individualise. The fourth point is around assessment, and I mean assessment in its broadest sense. English and Maths development we've touched on. Again, I'm not going to talk about the qualifications as such, other than to flag up, because I got an email about it this morning, and if you haven't seen it yet, the Education Training Foundation have published a report on English and Maths and the value of functional skills. And then lastly, it's about skills for progression. The eye on the prize. You've got learners coming in on entry provision who are going to end up on degrees or higher qualifications. So how are you facilitating the progression? So leadership management. The first word I'm throwing at you is honesty, which I've alluded to. You have got to be really honest about the quality of your provision. Consistency is a message that I throw at you. Why isn't it good across? If not, what are you doing about it? The training of your staff and how they share good practice across. Finding out what learners think. We're very good at designing things for other people in the sector, but what are they telling you? Check the effectiveness of improvement actions. Improvement actions cost money, money is tight, they're having an impact. If they're not, why are you doing it? Could you do it a different way? Working in partnership, I've alluded to, you're getting much better at working together, and measure the impact. That's, I'm afraid, we won't change as Ofsted inspectors. We'll say, yeah, you've got this, you're doing this, and the impact is. But the key messages that came out of this, what is high quality? Unsurprisingly, sharply focused leadership. Leaders have got to be on the ball with this one. Unequivocal, well-formed direction. You know what you're doing and why. Consistency comes up again. And realistically high expectations of learners by your staff.